All right, let's dive right in. You know that feeling, right? That endless scroll on your phone, that hunt for the next video, the next like, the next thing to buy. It's like we're all stuck in this loop, always searching for something more. Somebody on a forum put it just like this, and wow, it just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? And perfectly captures that nagging feeling that our own brain chemistry, our ancient survival wiring, is kind of being used against us. We're running this ancient program that was built for the wild, but we're living in a world that looks more like a smartphone screen. Okay, so we hear this word dopamine thrown around all the time, but it's so often misunderstood. So let's really break it down. What is it actually? What does it do? And how can we get a handle on its massive influence in this crazy modern world? Let's start by just blowing up the single biggest misconception right from the get-go. Most of us think we know what dopamine does, but believe me, the reality is way more interesting. You see it in headlines everywhere. The pleasure molecule. Well, that's pretty much a pop science myth. The actual feeling of happiness, of pleasure, that's more the job of other chemicals, like serotonin and endorphins. Dopamine's real role is something far more fundamental and honestly, way cooler. This right here. This is the key. Dopamine isn't the reward itself. It's the engine that screams at you to go get the reward. You can think of it as the chemical of wanting, of seeking. It's that internal voice going, ooh, I need that. It is truly the molecule of more. And this just changes everything, doesn't it? The real dopamine high isn't from the first bite of pizza. It's that jolt of excitement you feel when you hear the delivery driver pull up. The system literally peaks during the wait. It's all about the thrill of the hunt, not the prize itself. So if it's not just some simple pleasure button, what is this incredibly powerful molecule actually for? Well, turns out it's absolutely essential for pretty much everything that makes us us. I mean, just look at this list. It's the fundamental engine that powers so much of what we do. It's the reason we want to learn a new skill. It gives us the focus to actually get work done. It coordinates our bodies, and it's even behind those powerful, all-consuming feelings of falling in love. Without it, we'd have no motivation to do, well, anything. Now get this. This one experiment really shows its power in a way you might not expect. It highlights how dopamine helps us form these incredibly strong, focused bonds. It can be a force for deep, meaningful connection, not just mindless craving. It helps explain that powerful attachment we can feel to just one person. But, and this is a huge but, here's the dilemma. That same beautiful system that drives us to achieve amazing things, it can be hijacked. The molecule of more can so easily become the molecule of never, ever enough. One user explained this with this brilliant plug and socket analogy. So imagine your brain's dopamine receptors are like electrical sockets. When you just flood the system with super intense stuff, the brain basically says, whoa, okay, and builds bigger sockets to handle the surge. But the problem is, now the normal plugs from everyday life, like reading a book or having a good conversation, they just don't fit anymore. They can't deliver a charge. You're left feeling nothing, just bored and empty, always chasing a bigger and bigger jolt just to feel okay again. And this really is the heart of the problem, isn't it? Our ancient brain wiring was designed for a world where rewards were scarce and you had to work for them. Now it's completely overwhelmed. We are surrounded, absolutely drowning, in a sea of cheap, high-intensity dopamine hits, and they're available 24/7 right there in our pockets. Okay, we have to be really clear here. This isn't just about feeling a bit distracted or, a little bored. When the dopamine system goes seriously off the rails, we're talking about severe, clinically recognized medical problems. It is all about balance. The sources really stress this delicate equilibrium. If you have too little dopamine, it's linked to severe movement disorders, like Parkinson's and also depression. But too much can be just as bad, connected to conditions like schizophrenia and psychosis. It's a real tightrope. So, with this feeling of being constantly overstimulated, a really controversial idea has bubbled up from online communities, the so-called dopamine detox or dopamine fasting. But here's the question. Is this a real solution, or is it just a trendy fad? So you have the proponents, people like the user quoted here, who absolutely swear by it. They say that by just stopping the easy pleasure stuff, social media, junk food, video games, for a while, they can reset their brain. They regain their focus, and suddenly normal life starts to feel rewarding again. But then you have the critics and a lot of scientists who are quick to call foul on the whole idea. They argue pretty forcefully that you can't detox from a chemical your brain literally needs to function every second of the day. They see it as a total misunderstanding of how our brains work, just slapping a catchy, sciencey sounding name on old-fashioned self-discipline. So the tension is pretty clear. On one side, you have tons of personal stories from people who say, hey, I tried this and I feel way better. And on the other, you have the scientific community saying, yeah, but the whole premise is just wrong. So what is it? A useful behavioral reset or just a popular myth? But maybe this whole back and forth about the detox misses the real point. Maybe the most important takeaway from all these discussions isn't about eliminating dopamine, but about being conscious of where we're getting it from. It's about choosing the quality of our motivation, not just the quantity. As one person so wisely put it, the real path forward isn't about depriving yourself. It's about being intentional. It's about choosing the effort and delayed reward of a hard workout over the instant, cheap rush of a candy bar. It's about choosing the deep satisfaction of finishing a project over the fleeting novelty of one more scroll. The rewards you get from those quality sources, it's just deeper, and it actually lasts. Look, our brain's reward system can absolutely be hijacked, and it can leave us feeling drained, unfocused, and unfulfilled. But understanding this molecule, really understanding how this system works, that gives us the power back. We can choose our goals, we can choose our focus, we can choose our satisfaction. Yes, the system can be hacked, but this knowledge puts the password right back in our hands.